Hey everyone, I'm Diane Rosen, and with me today is Clark County Commissioner Michael Naft. Say hi to Michael Naft, everybody. I think that people talk about it every day. We have a so-called water shortage, right? I mean, our whole beautiful lawn was pulled out so that it can be brown and very eco-friendly. We don't waste water, and yet the building never stops. So can you explain to us how that reconciles?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's probably the question I get asked the most.
So you must have a good answer.
Company.
Okay.
First, I think it's important because on this topic, there are some really good things happening. And I think it's important to recognize that. One of them is that many years ago, long before I was on the board, there was a commitment made to water reclamation in this valley. We actually have one of the best water treatment facilities out there, which means that we, unlike some of our other sister states that are in the compact, Colorado River Compact with us, we do more to repurpose and reuse the water that goes down the drain than almost anywhere, not only in this country, but internationally. And that really sets us apart and gives us an incredible opportunity, but it is also why you see so much of the focus has been on exterior consumption of water, because everything, virtually every drop that goes down the drain is being treated, being reused. We're getting the return tax flow credit for it, but we don't have that opportunity when we're losing out on water on the pavement. And that's really why you've seen this really aggressive attack on grass, because it's not just the grass or the amount of watering, it's that it's very difficult to water grass without also watering the sidewalk next to that grass.
Right, okay.
So we being the Southern Nevada Water Authority, took to the legislature a couple years ago and made that non-functional turf rule. And what that means is essentially if the grass is only being utilized by the person pushing the lawnmower, it probably isn't the best use of our water. So we still have the reimbursement in place. We're really encouraging everybody to make the transition to artificial turf or to zero-scape. But that is going to be such a critical factor. We've also, in addition to leading the way with along the Colorado River through SNWA and the Las Vegas Valley Water District, the Clark County Commission has made some really drastic commitments to water conservation. These are things like capping swimming pool sizes, things like, and by the way, these aren't always fun policies to create, but it really is, I believe, the responsible thing to do, and it also is what allows us to continue growing. Nobody, the door shouldn't shut behind you, right? If they shut the door to Clark County after I came here, Anthem wouldn't be here,
Correct.
and neither would so many of the people who live in this valley. But we really have to be responsible about growing the right way, growing responsibly. So you look at things like zero-scape landscaping. And it has enormous savings. You look at the conservation on homes that are built today versus those built even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, certainly 40 years ago. The standards have gotten so much stronger, and we're able to do a lot more with a lot less. So development isn't always a bad thing. It's just about being responsible in how we develop and making sure that we're holding people accountable to the values of this community. And water conservation, we like to talk about living here that we don't have natural disasters, we don't have tornadoes, we don't really have major earthquakes. Our natural disaster is our water shortage.
I understand, I don't know if this is right, or all that rain in Northern California, that California doesn't have any means of capturing that water. Is that right?
Well, certainly not like we do, and that is right. Their reclamation abilities, they need to take a big step up, and really, we're certainly doing everything possible to encourage them and all of our bordering states in the West to recognize that we're in a drought. It is a natural disaster, and we have to step up and be more responsible about how we use the limited supply of water that we have.
Well, I hope they're listening, because that was a lot of water that fell that they could have been saving. One more question for you, please, and that is about the increase in crime around here. I mean, I guess the more people, it makes sense that the more people live here, the increase in crime, but these senior community used to be extremely safe, and now we're getting all sorts of robberies and things like that during the day, and it's kind of scary. Any comments on how we can help with that?
I think you're right. People have become more brazen, and you are seeing it more in outer areas than you used to. The good news to report is, and I serve on the Fiscal Affairs Committee for the Metropolitan Police Department. We oversee Metro in our capacity with the county. We, of course, work closely with Henderson Police Department, which covers the Anthem area. But you are seeing an uptick in property crimes. So things like you mentioned, robberies. Violent crime is actually down right now a little bit, and that's a good thing. That's really important. But it's all about making sure that we're paying attention, being vigilant. You do have to lock the door. People utilizing those Ring cameras and security cameras that they have, and then just continuing to have really strong relationships with law enforcement. We're lucky in this community to have a police department that works incredibly hard with the community, and I think that's important. We have to make sure they have the tools they need to do their job effectively.
So, Commissioner, any other things that I didn't ask you about you'd like to talk about? What did I forget to ask you?
Well, always a priority of mine is traffic safety. It's something that I genuinely believe touches every single person, whether you're behind the wheel, the passenger in the car, whether you use public transportation or you're a cyclist or a pedestrian. You interface with our infrastructure here in the community, and that means you're a responsible player in trying to reduce the numbers of fatalities and serious injuries that we have on our roadway. Something I'm particularly proud of is we became one of the first municipalities in the United States to open a local office of traffic safety. And the reason I worked so hard on that was because in most states, it's the state who controls that office. And here too, we have a Nevada Office of Traffic Safety. But at the end of the day, local government controls everything from the way our roads are engineered and designed and built and constructed, to the way that our law enforcement enforces the rules and proactively enforces traffic laws on the books, to things like UMC, the trauma center. If you're in a bad car wreck, you're going to end up at UMC's trauma. And sadly, the coroner's office. Those are all under local government, all under the county's domain. So I thought we ought to be the ones who are waking up every single day, figuring out how to prevent these awful occurrences that happen on our roads. So I'm proud that we have that office. It's a regional office, which means it doesn't just work in unincorporated Clark County, but works with the city of Henderson, works with all of the cities in southern Nevada to get a handle on this issue, make sure that we have standards in place, make sure that we're designing roads that are better built for the people who use it, and making sure we're educating our community just what's at stake. We have seen enormous peaks in the number of fatalities we have on our roadway, and I just believe that so negatively impacts your quality of life. You want to be able to get to the grocery store safely, to get your kid to school safely, and it really takes all of us to do that. So
many wrong way accidents. People
That's
get
right.
on there
That's
the wrong
right.
way.
And we've, in the last year and a half or so, done a ton of work to try and build up signage on the reverse side of that to make it even more clear. Because, this is a 24-hour town. A lot of people drive in the evenings. A lot of people, unfortunately, drive while under the influence of a substance. And we have seen that real uptick in wrong way driving accidents, crashes.
Well, I hope that. So, what will the function of this office be?
So we just celebrated 1 year anniversary. It's everything from working with all 39 departments in Clark County to make sure that the things I mentioned, things like the education on the front end, things like the way that our public works teams throughout the valley are building roads, making sure they're doing it more safely. Things like getting out into the community and educating people on the rules of the road, how to be a safe pedestrian, how to be a safe driver, but also help craft policy that will do that. Things like I had my safe sidewalk ordinance pass a few months ago, which means that here in Anthem, we're very fortunate. Almost every sidewalk in Anthem is detached. That means it's separated from the roadway. That makes a lot of sense to me. If you want to safely walk, you probably don't do it up against a 45-mile-an-hour road.
Right.
And the reason for detaching a sidewalk is because on average it takes a little over 4 feet for a driver to correct when they hop on a sidewalk, hop on a curb. It takes about 4 feet for them to realize what they've done and overcorrect and get back onto the street. So if you push a sidewalk 4 feet away from the road, or 5 feet ideally, you're going to end up saving a lot of lives. So that's something that we've done in the county and would certainly encourage the cities to look at as well.
Well, yay, Clark County.
That's
You're
how I
making
feel
a huge
every
difference.
day.
That's fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Naft.
Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck and everything. And thanks, everybody. This is Diane Rosen for SCA-TV.